You stare at your list of goals. Again. Maybe this time they'll work out. Maybe this time your plan won't collapse by day 3. The unfinished projects, abandoned routines, and forgotten resolutions form a quiet monument to good intentions that never materialized. Planning isn't your problem. You're actually great at creating plans, detailed, ambitious, impressive plans. The problem is that they never seem to stick. Plans fail for a simple reason most people miss: complexity disguised as thoroughness. The most effective plans share one quality: simplicity. Not the simplicity that comes from laziness, but the refined simplicity that remains after removing everything unnecessary. Your brain processes approximately 6,000 thoughts per day. When your plan requires tracking 17 different variables, it's competing with thousands of other thoughts for attention. The battle for mental bandwidth is rarely won by your most complex plans. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, who wrote The Little Prince, once said, "Perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away." This applies perfectly to planning. Consider the differences between these approaches. The complex plan: track calories, macronutrients, and eating windows while following a progressive overload strength program with cardio on alternating days, plus meditation and journaling both morning and evening. The simple plan: walk 30 minutes daily. The second plan isn't better, in theory. But it's better in practice because you'll actually do it. The strange paradox of planning is that your capacity to execute is inversely proportional to your plan's complexity. The more moving parts, the higher the likelihood of failure. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, calls this the 2-minute rule. When starting a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Reading 1 page. Doing 1 push-up. Writing 1 sentence. The barrier to entry must be so low that it feels ridiculous to skip it. We resist this approach because it feels inadequate. How will 1 push-up get me in shape? How will reading 1 page make me educated? This mindset misses the point entirely. The goal of a simple plan isn't immediate massive progress. The goal is establishing the behavioral pattern that leads to massive progress over time. Think about why your previous plans failed. Did they collapse because they weren't thorough enough, or because they were too demanding to maintain? Usually, it's the latter. When I decided to write more consistently, I tried scheduling 2-hour writing blocks. They rarely happened. Life interfered. I felt guilty. Eventually, I quit. Then I switched to a simpler plan: write 1 sentence per day. Just 1. Some days that's all I wrote. Other days, once I started, I wrote for an hour. The simple commitment created space for more when possible, but never required more than I could reliably give. Within 6 months, I had written more than in the previous 3 years combined. The neurological explanation for this is straightforward. Your brain creates neural pathways through repetition. Complex plans require multiple new pathways to form simultaneously. Simple plans focus your brain's resources on cementing 1 pathway at a time. Naval Ravikant, entrepreneur and philosopher, puts it this way: to be successful, you have to be able to say no. This applies to plans too. Say no to additional components until your basic plan becomes automatic. But there's another critical element beyond simplicity: clear triggers. A trigger is a specific cue that prompts your planned behavior. I'll exercise more. Has no trigger. I'll walk immediately after lunch. Has a clear trigger: finishing lunch. B.J. Fogg, founder of the Stanford Behavior Design Lab, created a formula: behavior happens when motivation, ability, and prompt converge at the same moment. A simple plan maximizes ability by making the action easy. A clear trigger ensures the prompt occurs reliably. My client Michael wanted to read more. His complex plan involved reading 30 minutes daily, alternating fiction and nonfiction, and keeping a reading journal. It lasted 9 days. His revised simple plan: place a book on his pillow each morning, and read at least 1 page before sleep. The pillow placement was his trigger. Some nights he read just 1 page. Within 3 months, he'd finished 4 books, more than the previous 2 years combined. Simple plans work because they respect reality. Your future self will have the same limitations that your current self has: limited willpower, competing priorities, and unexpected interruptions. Plans that ignore these realities are fantasies, not plans. The executive who schedules every half hour of a 12-hour day isn't being productive. They're being delusional about how time works. Psychology tells us that implementation intentions, specific plans detailing when, where, and how you'll act, dramatically increase follow-through. "I'll go for a walk if it's nice out this weekend," is a weak plan. "I'll walk for 10 minutes around my block right after I finish my first cup of coffee tomorrow morning," is a proper implementation intention. Another crucial element of working plans is systematic feedback. Plans need adjustment, but most people make changes randomly. Create a specific time, weekly or monthly, to review what's working and what isn't. Ask yourself, was this plan simple enough to actually follow? If not, simplify further. Progress comes from consistency, not perfection. Social pressure can improve adherence too. Tell someone about your simple plan. The psychological principle of commitment and consistency, identified by Robert Cialdini, shows we're more likely to follow through once we've publicly committed. Perhaps most importantly, your plan must allow for failure without collapse. If your plan falls apart whenever you miss a day, it's not resilient enough for real life. The art of making plans that work isn't about creating the perfect system on paper. It's about creating the minimum viable system that produces consistent action in reality. Start with something ridiculously simple. 1 push-up, 1 sentence, 1 minute of meditation. Then protect that simplicity until the behavior becomes automatic. After consistency is established, you can build. But that first simple step matters more than all your elaborate strategies combined. Your most effective plan won't be your most impressive plan. It will be the simple plan you actually follow.